labeled LGBT tolerance in the HBCU community, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, of course. And basically this is for Sowk 300 class, computer applications class. And this will be my last video. And this is the research that I've compiled over the semester. And I'm very excited to present it to you guys because LGBT tolerance is very important. And it's very dire that people are educated on this, especially in the HBCU campus, which is historically black college and university. So abstract. Within my research report, I will be measuring how the overall genders, classifications, and regions of students in relation to the Tuskegee University campus feel about LGBT tolerance overall. All respondents are asked questions alongside the general demographics, which test the level of tolerance and understanding of LGBT people. The reaction to these questions based on the outcome of the data enable enough evidence for this information to be accurate about the students' tolerance towards LGBT people. So introduction. Homophobia is very prevalent on historically black college campuses, which makes it important to understand students' opinions towards the LGBT community. In return, this can adequately educate individuals on different types of stigma and discrimination that LGBT people face on HBCU campuses. Based on data collected in relation to Tuskegee University, there is currently a high percentage of homophobic males, 100%. To the contrary, majority of females are not homophobic, but tolerant towards LGBT people, 84.7%. Tolerance can be defined as the ability or willingness to tolerate something, in particular, the existence of opinions or behavior that one does not necessarily agree with. People on the campus of Tuskegee University, especially males, need to be educated properly on the attribute of tolerance towards LGBT people. This can further stimulate educational intuition and understanding overall. My survey research gives questions that will determine the level of tolerance towards LGBT people, and everyone who I asked in the survey is a person of color. So it focuses primarily on people of color and and particularly the African American community on LGBT tolerance. Expounding these questions, they deal with respondents' personal feelings, civil rights views, and societal acceptance of LGBT people. These results will prove that the overall inclusion of LGBT people on HBCU campuses with administrative assistance is dire to bring a better understanding to students attending HBCUs. Further, these results will also prove that regardless of region, classification, and gender, and this is what I kind of based my survey off of, so these were the first two questions, like what is your, what region of the country are you from, what classification are you, and what gender are you? And that's how I kind of differentiated between male and female in regards to opinions. This is homophobia is a problem on HBCU campuses, but in fact it starts with the African American community as one unit in keeping LGBT stigma. Men are continuously reminded to always be masculine and maintain their manliness. This means men will probably be less tolerant. In contrast, females are known to be more understanding and sensitive towards different types of situations and issues in regards to society. In return, females tend to be less one-track minded. Regardless of both genders, religion is definitely a stronghold in the African American community, and this will tend to sway people's views on tolerance. So sometimes people tend to get the definition of tolerance mixed up with acceptance, and acceptance and tolerance are two different meanings. So I did I've done more than 3 charts, but for this poster I did 3 charts, and so I did respondents based on, I did 3 graphs, sorry. Respondents based on friendship. Doesn't matter if I'm friends with somebody who is a part of the LGBT community. And overall, regardless of gender, 34% of people says it doesn't matter, but 66% of people say it does matter. Figure 2, respondents based on gender. Should LGBT people have rights under United States law? And this was kind of based on male and female. So people that strongly agree, surprisingly, the males strongly agree that people of the LGBT community should have rights. And then 0% of females on Tuskegee University's campus do not believe that. 57.1% of males agree, and 42.9% of females disagree. Agree. Strongly disagree. 15.6% of males strongly disagree, while 84.4% of females strongly disagree. And this data is really interesting because from this question, even though I said majority of females on this campus are tolerant towards LGBT people, they don't necessarily believe that they should have rights. And surprisingly, the males on this campus, the campus of Tuskegee University, they believe that LGBT people should have rights. But surprisingly, I'm going to the next graph, respondents based on tolerance. I basically kind of based the level of opinions based on tolerance. I tolerate LGBT people. That was the question I asked them in the survey. And the males strongly agree. Only 28% of the males strongly agree, whereas 72% of the females actually agree. And I'm gonna skip the agree question. The agree survey response, and I'm going to go to disagree. And based on disagree, 86.7 males disagree that they tolerate LGBT people. That's a big issue. Versus 33.3% of females. Now, this is very weird because if they believe they should have rights, well, I would think that they would tolerate LGBT people as well. So this is very, very kind of weird. So I'm going to basically explain more about these graphs. So figure 1, based on the data, 50% of respondents avoid LGBT people, in contrast to 31% that do not avoid LGBT people. Surprisingly, 90% of respondents overall believe that LGBT people should be accepted in society, while 10% of respondents disagree. The results from the data indicate that 100% of respondents, males, strongly agree that LGBT people should have rights under United States law. Their counterparts, females, strongly disagree, 84.4%. Nearly 57.1% of people, that being male, agree that LGBT people should have rights. To contrary, 4.29% agree that LGBT people should have rights. Based on the data, going to figure 3, 70% of females have a high percentage of tolerance towards LGBT people. This is an extreme contrast for males, 20%, and then 66.7% do not tolerate LGBT people, that being males, versus 33.3% of females who said that they do not tolerate LGBT people. So, in conclusion, the survey research report that I concluded assisted in evaluating the opinions of Tuskegee University students in regards to tolerance towards the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender community. Students on historically black college campuses and universities, I found these findings in. Based on the findings from Tuskegee University, male students are less likely to be tolerant towards LGBT people. Seniors, and I had one graph that is not on here, but expounding from this graph, a lot of the seniors I found to not be tolerant versus the sophomores that were actually really tolerant. This graph, I hope, will help to kind of give a level base as to the opinions and kind of trying to have forums and, whole different events that could possibly include the inclusion of LGBT people that are open, of course, that could possibly kind of sway their opinions and understand that tolerance is not necessarily acceptance. And that's the big part of this whole research report. Tolerance is not necessarily acceptance. Tolerance and acceptance are two different things. And as I said, my definition was towards tolerance. It was basically, tolerance can be defined as the ability or willingness to tolerate something, in particular, the existence of opinions or behavior that one does not necessarily agree with. So you have to agree with it. And no one said you had to, but just be respectful. And so this is what I'm trying to get out of this research report based on the LGBT community in relation to HBCU campuses. Is there any questions?
Yes. Why do you think more men than women agree that LGBT people should have legal rights?
To be honest with you, the data was very interesting as to why the females did not agree. And if I could sit down and ask a female as to why, I would definitely do that. But I think the majority of it, I feel like if they have rights, as far as what I was getting from when they were, doing the survey or whatnot, is if they have rights, then I might necessarily accepting it, or So the problem in this survey question was the fact that, you know, a lot of females, they kind of got confused with what a civil right was and what a moral right was. So they thought that, oh, if I agree with LGBT people having rights under United States law, well then I must be in agreement with LGBT people, and that's not necessarily what I was saying. This whole time, you know, even through when people were coming to me and I would give them the surveys and I'll come back, they don't understand the questions or whatnot. They didn't understand the definition of tolerance, the real definition of tolerance. And I had it on the survey report, but a lot of them were just kind of still confused, you know. So a lot of it was a battle with agreement and acceptance, you know, agreement and tolerance. Excuse me for that.
Okay. Why do you think more females agree to tolerate LGBT more than men, but disagree for LGBT people to have rights under the U.S. law?
Okay. I think they're tolerant towards LGBT people because they feel comfortable around LGBT people. A lot of females on the campus of Tuskegee University do have gay friends, and from the people that I know, you know, they're like, oh yeah, you know, I love him because he won't hurt me, but I don't agree with his lifestyle or whatnot, or his orientation. And again, they feel like if they agree with LGBT people having rights in the United States law, they feel like they're accepting it. But in relation, they do contradict each other as to why. And I wish I would have asked another question that would lead to to get a better understanding as to why the females felt that way.
So do you think a friendship with an LGBT person influences the tolerance?
It does, because based on the data, the 34% of people that are actually friends with LGBT people, you know, they kind of expressed to me that, you know, they taught me so much about the LGBT community and about acceptance in general, about tolerance, really, about tolerance in general. And I feel like if people, like the 66% of people on this campus that said they don't want to be friends with LGBT people, you know, it doesn't matter if my friend is heterosexual or homosexual, I feel like they would have a greater influence if they had someone. A lot of the times, some of these, you know, people on, especially Tuskegee University campus, they basically have a bad experience with one person of the LGBT community, and they kind of base that off of all of us, you know, and that's not the way it is. And people that are friends with LGBT people, they become more cultured. So even if you don't necessarily accept it, you can at least tolerate it. So you can be able to walk into a professional setting, you know, respect, you know, people in your setting that are of the LGBT community and still be able to work with them. Because sometimes, you know, if you're not able to work with people that are LGBT, or, you know, at least befriend them, then there'll be a lot of friction. So definitely being friends with an LGBT person will definitely help someone be more educated in general, not only the LGBT community, but overall.
Okay.
I want to thank you for tuning in to my video. This was an amazing class. I learned so much. This is my last presentation. Thank you so much. Bye.